It said they're allowed to subdivide 4 plus. Now, plus you need the, so what that means, like I'm like, well, they went to like 5.3, it's not a big deal, but I guess when you say 4 plus, yeah.
It's really
I
ready to go.
I've got, not quite, even though that does call for one after.
All right, we're one of.
Yeah, 6, there you go. At your will.
There, 10 o'clock makes it official.
Okay, let's get rolling here. This is the Town of Newport Planning Board, July 12, 2022 at 6 p.m. We'll start with a roll call with Tobin.
Tobin Menard?
Ken Merrill? Jim Burrows? Ray Kitty?
And David Burnham, Chair. Do we need to do any review on the agenda or just go with it?
Unless you see any mistakes or something you'd like a correction on, Mr. Chairman, then you could proceed.
We'll go right to continued business. And our first order is 2022 SDFP 5. Fox Family Revocable Trust owner requests a final review for a minor subdivision property identified from map 231 lot 021 located at 289 Maple Street in the rural zoning district.
Mr. Chairman, could I state something before? I should have had this written down. They were approved at the ZBA for the back lot, which is the reason that they were held off from last month, and I should have had that in big red letters. I apologize. So they're here, it was approved, they met all back lot requirements, so now they're here in front of you.
You want to sit on the board first?
I can if you want.
Herb is not here.
There is no Herb.
Huh?
There's Jim.
Oh, Jim, you're taking Herb's place?
Yeah, Herb's
Okay.
after Jim Wells.
Oh, okay, all right. You still got a vacancy though, right?
There is a vacancy.
If you'd like to set, you can set the vacancy.
Make a motion, huh?
Sit for the vacancy.
We don't have to, we just make a motion, just
Right. So we'll have Bert Spalding sitting in for the vacancy position. Pat, are you doing this one?
I'm just kind of waiting.
Okay, well, it's got both of you on here, so I just checked.
Yeah, you got both of us today.
Okay.
Well, my name's Patrick Grosky, land surveyor then I rebuilt survey this. Essentially what's going on here is, it's a 6.13 acre, total acre parcel that was subdivided, or is going to be subdivided into two lots. Lot 1 is 2.38 acres, and the other remainder, or lot 2, 3.75 acres. This lot 2 does only have 50 feet of frontage here, which we do, as Christina said, we do have approval, case number 1131 last month for a back lot. This right here is all lot 2. And got approved for that. And also subdivision approval for 12 lots in the state approved. So really the only difference between this plan and the plan that was like 2 months ago is approval numbers for the zoning and for the state approval. And we delineated this area here, which is the right-of-way in common. And I do have language for that, if anyone wants to see in a deed description of how this is described for lot 1 and 2. Because lot 1 is a granting access, and lot 2 would be accepting and reserving that right-of-way for, essentially this right-of-way for be a driveway for this lot and this lot. Reasonable soils, approval for a 4-bedroom system for lot 1 and 2, being my dad. Something design stamp, that was essentially for the state. Any questions?
Anybody?
Patrick, the right, the right of way,
Do you want to see the language?
does it include a private road agreement? Who does the maintenance?
Essentially, this is a deed.
As they come in, it's common to both lots.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, you're right. Yeah.
Essentially what I say is, for lot 2, they accept and reserve that strip of land, Messon bounds description. So essentially it says, accept and reserve a right-of-way in common for the benefit of the grantor and grantee, lot 1, lot 2. Accessors and/or signs shown on said plan, said right-of-way to be used for ingress and egress, and will contribute in equal shares to the cost of such construction, maintenance, repair, and replacement of the right-of-way in common, and bound and described as follows. Yeah, literally Messon bound description of the right-of-way itself.
Okay. Christine?
Sure.
Anybody else? Open to the public for any comments for or against? Seeing no hands, I will come back to the board. What's your pleasure? Oh, before we get too far, let's accept this as complete.
I'll make a motion to accept 2022 SDFP number 5, Fox Family Revocable Trust as complete.
Have a second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? Any abstentions? The ayes have it, okay.
And I will make another motion that we accept 2022 SDFP-5, Fox Family Revocable Trust, subject to filing of the
Oh, the
shared agreement there.
the deed, that,
That's in the deed, right?
Essentially it's in the deed. Nothing will happen until Foxes actually convey something to another party. So that's when it actually gets executed. Because if Fox owns that whole property for like 5 years, it's, he doesn't need an easement or a right of way for his own property. But once what triggers it, like if he sells lot 1 or lot 2, that's when things get executed and are triggered to.
Right, well, that's basically what I'm saying, is that the approval of the subdivision is, one of the conditions is that agreement. Because without that agreement, you can't subdivide it.
Well, it's in the deed.
Well, like I said, it just.
But if somebody buys it, they've gotta accept the deed or they don't get the land, right? It's not like somebody is trying to opt out of it.
But in a hypothetical scenario, let's say Fox owns this and this. He built a house on this. He doesn't need that deed executed because it's still his land. He still owns this whole thing. So that really doesn't even apply until there's a third party. And when this gets conveyed to another party besides Fox, that's when things get executed, triggered, enabled, when things happen.
Right, and that's what I'm saying. This subdivision approved based on that agreement.
based
on
on
the
when
deed.
there is a third party, it will be submitted, even if it's years down the line,
Right
right?
now, he
No.
doesn't need one.
Because he could literally build on this lot right here, get a septic approval, of course, from the state, and he still owns this. He doesn't need that right away until that gets sold, or this gets sold.
Right, I'm not disputing that.
It's as presented because it's part of the record as you read it.
In order for anybody to buy it, it's part of the deed, so they have to already be making that agreement.
They have to accept the deed or they can't buy it.
Right, but in order, I guess.
The right-of-way
In order to
agreement.
file the new subdivision to get the deed written, that has to be, it has to be identified. Is it identified on the plan?
No, in the deed.
Well,
Yes.
To speak to
I guess
this,
we're kind of
because
concerned about two different things. I'm just saying, with a hypothetical scenario, if he wanted to build here, those deeds that are meaningless up until something's conveyed. Because he can literally build a house here, get a septic design, get a state-approved septic, build a house, live there, still own this and this, and no deed will be recorded because he owns the whole thing. And
Okay.
up until it gets conveyed to someone else. That's when those kind of apply.
but we, as a board, are subdividing that property tonight.
Right.
And that, wait a minute, Patrick, that means it has to have the agreement that goes with it, conditional to the approval. The approval is not done without the private road agreement, period. What you're saying to us is you're saying, well, it's still gonna remain as one lot. Then why are you asking us, wait a minute, why are you asking us to subdivide it? You're asking us to make 2 lots. We're gonna make 2 lots. Fine and dandy. But there has to be a condition of who takes care of what. And you have proposed that tonight, it will be part of the record, and it will be part of the vote.
Right, but you can't convey something to yourself. I'm just saying.
No, but.
That's irrelevant here.
We're sitting here talking about creating that second lot.
Correct.
The only way you can create that second lot is by having that agreement written in the deed. That's what I'm trying to say. Without that, you can't create that second lot because it's a non-conforming, you can't do that. There's no frontage, there's no, nothing.
No, it is conforming. It's conforming, it's approved by the zoning board. Both lots are fully conforming. There's nothing non-conforming about this subdivision.
But the zoning board approved that plan, which.
No, the subdivision, zoning board approved the back lot.
Right, but-
You approved the subdivision. It met all the criteria of a back lot, which is 5+ acres and 50 linear feet of road frontage. That's what they approved. They do not approve plans.
Right, but the 50 feet of road frontage is on another piece of property.
No, it's your, it's in the subdivision.
This piece.
No. Is it part of the second lot or is it part of the first lot? Part of the first
The
lot.
owner, the actual owner of the right-of-way in common is lot 2, the back lot.
This,
So then, if it's part of lot 2, then you don't need this agreement, because the
Not
whole piece
until-
goes with lot 2.
Not until a third party is involved.
but it'll be in the deed, so that when somebody buys it, they buy it with that deed.
Right, but
And
it
it
doesn't,
says the right of way is in there.
right, but
Can
it
you
doesn't
put
need
it
to
as-
be, if it's one piece of property.
The 50,
Can you make your motion conditional to that being conveyed, when it is conveyed, it's conveyed with that deed?
Well, I know,
That-
getting back to what Patrick just said, though, if that 50-foot right-of-way back to the second lot is part of the second lot acreage and everything, and it's separate from the front lot now, right? You don't even need that road agreement. It's its own, it's part of that second piece. You don't even need that piece.
As long as Fox owns this. Right.
When this is done and subdivided, there's gonna be 2 deeds drawn up, correct?
Well, technically, yes, there's already a deed drawn up.
And the second deed will have that in lot 2 with the right of way for lot 1. Is that
exactly.
correct?
That's the way it's written.
Then
It
there's
doesn't
nothing,
need
we
that.
don't need a conditional because it's gonna be in that deed.
It doesn't, but what he said, though,
There's no-
if you trace the limits of lot 2, right? It includes, includes that road piece. So that's part of lot 2. So therefore, the subdivision will be fine with that there, but you don't need that agreement in the deed for the maintenance of the road or anything. That's already, it's because it's part of lot 2,
As long, well,
it's 100% on lot 2.
as long as Fox owns both pieces. One,
No, even if you sold it. If you sold it as that's drawn,
no, because it's a shared equally, equal shares.
so then it would be lot 2 giving lot 1 access to that piece because it's part of lot 2.
Correct.
So it'd be the
That's
reverse of
correct.
what you have in your
The way you
deed.
read it.
Well, no, I have one, this
I
one's
thought you had it the other
granting,
way.
This one's accepting. This description is accepting and reserving a right for this guy to use.
Right,
this
that's
driveway.
backwards, that's backwards.
And this, no, this one's granting access. You accept and reserve something that is burdening your property. This right away is burdening this piece.
Okay.
So it will be accepting and reserve, so that this guy can use this driveway.
Regardless of who owns it.
Well, it's definitely part of the lot 2.
Absolutely, it has to be to conform to a back lot.
Can I suggest something?
Sure.
I can see where, kind of where the plan was coming from. I think maybe some verbiage on that plan, that's on that description, would help. That way, there's something on the record, whether it's conveyed or not. You see what I'm talking about? The agreement of maintenance or whatever. So if we say, okay, it's a right of way in common, C, no, whatever, and explain it,
Right.
put that on the
Put it-
mind. That's what I think I've done that before on other projects.
It was read into the record already.
Because,
It's already on there.
not the full details, I don't think.
No,
No, not what
Nothing
you
new,
need,
right.
not what you need. No.
Says accepting any of the rights of way or easement
That
of record.
doesn't cover
I
it.
couldn't actually spell out the language.
That's what I would do.
You know, whatever detail is, literally put it right here.
Actually, because
You
what's
put,
written
put
in
the
my-
whole thing right in here?
The whole right-of-way language, accepting, reserving, well, yeah, accepting, and the shared maintenance and that's all, you know, a bunch of the the share, because it's equal share because it's only relative. to the lots.
That way it covers the planning board.
Yeah.
I can see where it comes from.
So,
So, yeah, go ahead, Brett.
all right, without an agreement, we can't subdivide that lot. To me, it's clear because we are saying you can have two lots, but we haven't enforced it with the agreement that would make it satisfactory to a purchaser, regardless of who that is. So it has to be part of our motion to agree. If, in fact, it is on that plan stating that the subdivision is contingent upon this agreement, then I can accept that. But a conveyance of that property, where would the buyer pick up that in fact he had an actual shared right-of-way?
When he looks at his plot,
Okay,
Mr. Chairman?
when he puts the full description.
When he gets on it,
okay.
just to bring-
And so therefore, for us to make it conditional that that's on there, what's the problem?
Excuse me, Mr. Chairman?
Yes.
That lot in the front that has the 294 linear feet of road frontage
Yeah.
could create its own driveway at any time it wishes. It meets all the requirements of a zoned building lot. They don't ever have to drive on the shared right-of-way unless they wish to. Both lots are perfectly conforming. So while they put the right-of-way on there, that lot, that front lot, has every right to have its own driveway and never used. Both are conforming. There's no way that someone's saying the right-of-way, say it didn't exist. The other one's fully conforming. It gets its own driveway. Because they're both fully conforming lots.
I mean, back to my original motion, I think, to me, it's the right way to do it. That way, and whether it gets recorded, we'll put on here, maybe this is the best way, it's all in one place, but it's just the best way to describe it and have it on there. Because it is, the way it's currently drawn and presented, it's a shared use based on that deed restriction. So therefore, I think this should be contingent upon that deed restriction for this approval. If they come back and say, no, I'm gonna put a driveway in a different place and I don't need that, then they can remove that from the deed and at whatever point sell it and they'll have a separate lot and away they go.
So just put it on the Mylar.
Yeah. So.
I just wanted to state that that other lot can exist on its
Yeah.
own.
No,
That's
I
all
agree.
I wanted to state.
I agree, just as presented.
Yes.
So the documents we currently have shows it, and we have the deed language that it's a shared.
I will file in both, because these will become two separate files. This won't get filed in Sullivan County Registry of Deeds, but it'll get filed here in the town along with all the other records.
Good.
It right-of-way only becomes important if that plan is used. Outside of that, you're right, they can create another driveway.
Correct.
But, that being said, the right-of-way could also be used by the person who took the other lot. And so, and not doing any repairs, not doing any snow removal, but still getting a use out of it.
Absolutely.
So the right to have a shared driveway is in the plan, and therefore needs to be stated that that is a criteria or an asset to the purchaser of one lot or the other.
Absolutely.
So to include it in the motion, I do not see, I don't see the confusion.
It's gonna be stated on, I don't record, you don't record deeds until there's a sale, so I record Mylars. That's why, like, I.
So the
yeah,
approval of this
put it on the
case
Mylar, yeah,
is contingent upon that language.
on the Mylar.
I agree. If they choose to, they should put it on the Mylar, that's the best way to do it.
Because I can't record, right.
I'm okay
record
with
this.
just being in the
files.
file with the case, approved based on that deed language.
Oh,
So you want to rescind your first motion?
No, I think my first
Or
motion,
just add that to it?
we can add, well, if we add anything, it's add and noted on the Mylar.
Okay? I would second the amended motion.
Okay.
Okay. We have a motion and a second on the amendment to the motion. Now, do I have a second to the motion?
Yes.
Okay, we have a second to the motion.
Maura, are you clear with that?
Dare I ask you to repeat it so that it can be clear?
So I make motion that we accept 2022 SDFP-5 with the condition that the deed language get attached to the file as a contingent item and noted on the Mylar. And that was the amended piece, and noted on the Mylar.
Can we add the right-of-way in that statement?
It's the right-of-way information.
The right-of-way, the deed right-of-way information, whatever you
They
call
just
it.
want the right-of-way.
So we actually have to vote on the amendment.
Mark, can you read
We
that
did
back
vote on
for
the
us?
amendment, so now we just have to vote on
Now we're just,
the final.
now we're back to
So
the,
the only language I think should be necessary is just the granting or accepting, depending on your way, is the right-of-way comes for the benefit of the grantor or grantee, successors assigned shown on the right-of-way, essentially for the equal contribution to construction, maintenance, repair, right-of-way, replacement, income, et cetera. It's the maintenance, the shared.
it's on the deed already. That's what I say. It's gonna trigger as soon as you
Right.
do it.
I just wanted it. So, yeah, if you put that paragraph on it,
Yeah.
that would be, that would do it, yeah.
Okay,
So
so
we have
can you circle that paragraph and give it to Maura?
Stated that the paragraph in the deed that pertains to the right-of-way be in the be
A condition of the approval,
On,
yes,
on the
on the
Mylar.
Mylar.
and on the Mylar. Condition of approval and noted on the Mylar.
Maura, I have asked him to circle the paragraph and give it to you so that you have it and can include it.
Okay, thank you very much.
He's doing it now.
You also will all be signing the Mylar, and at that point, we will make sure it is exactly the way you stated it. Sorry.
No problem.
It's fine.
And Mr. Chair?
Yeah.
Did I miss a vote?
We haven't voted yet, no. Okay, now we have the full amendment and motion. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? Any abstentions? The ayes have it.
Thank you, sorry for the rhetoric. Just trying to get it right.
Did I have like a window open? No. Okay, just set it off her.
Do you?
We'll sort of put, that's all
If
right.
you do, open one.
Did I open a window?
You don't mind?
Take some initiative.
Open these over here.
That's what I was thinking. Sorry.
Yeah, that one's got the stick for it.
Hold on.
I didn't think it was well.
Okay. Our next order of business is 2022 SDFP 6, Hardscrabble Property Management LLC owner requests a final review for a minor subdivision property identified from map 206, lot 006, located at 213 Fletcher Road in the rural zoning district. And this is a continuation or?
Yes. Oh,
No, we got.
I don't think so, because we didn't accept it.
we deferred it to date and time certain,
But we
but you
gotta-
never opened it.
Yeah.
So,
I need a motion to accept completed app as complete.
Okay. Can't second it until we come to the conclusion that it is complete. There is a 16-page easement for the property. Yes. And can can we go into a deliberation as to what we have here? Is this to be considered a public document or no?
Yes, now, I can, once I share it with anyone but the town manager, it becomes public. Legal counsel, that's why I've also stated that we could have went into, and maybe I should broach this with you, David, like you've done before, where you can take adjourn for a few minutes or a timeout, and you could speak at any time to legal counsel by yourself as a board. But this was the written assessment of the amended deed. So there is the 60-page one, but the 60-page one has been amended 2 years after the original one.
Okay.
So, yeah, so you have the first deed, but then the amended deed had made the alterations for what they're doing.
Okay.
So the approval process for this to become a public document was approved by the town manager?
No, this doesn't need to be approved by the town manager. You requested legal counsel.
Okay.
I got it, and I'm just saying, if it was to be private, not public document, I can only share it with town manager. And I could double check that again, but that's what I've been told by legal counsel.
So who else did you share it with?
You guys,
Yeah.
once I
We're-
share with you, it becomes public.
Now that she's given it to us,
It's a public
it becomes a
document.
public document.
All right.
Okay.
Although you can confer privately with a lawyer as outside of this meeting, which we have done before.
And if we did that, then it doesn't become a public document.
Absolutely.
I would like us to have a short discussion about it, and that would make it a non-public document. But so I would move that we go into deliberation to discuss the opinion.
We have a motion. Do we have a second?
A second.
We have a second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed?
Right.
Ray Kibbe?
Point of order, Mr. Chairman,
Yeah.
under what rule are you going into deliberation? And who is your legal counsel that you're deliberating with?
The town's legal counsel.
Is he here?
No.
No, but he doesn't have to be here, Virginia, if it's in writing.
Thank you.
Well, we
So that you
call
are
him if
looking
we
at
want
a
him.
legal
We just-
document from the legal counsel, not the actual amendment.
Right.
Is that correct?
Right.
Thank you. Thanks, Christina.
Of course, let me make more. Are you
Okay.
interested in
We have
that?
a motion and a second. Ready to go. Ready to go. We'll be back in a few minutes.
This is my chair. I'll be taking my chair.
Would anybody mind turning on the AC? No, we don't. Okay.
Should I close those windows?
Pardon me?
Should I close the windows if you're gonna do that?
Oh, no, it's only, I'm probably only gonna get like 3 minutes.
There you go. Shoo.
She's supposed to be an engineer.
The whole conversation was
I
about
am.
how to fix this chair.
I are one.
Engineers just design it, and
That's right.
other people have to actually fix the problems that they design into it.
Yeah, we see.
There was anything missing off of the checklist when they brought this in?
No, the subdivision,
Yes,
no.
okay.
So I'll make a motion, we accept, Ray already made a motion, right? We had a standing motion? I'll second Ray's motion to accept this complete.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? Any abstentions? The ayes have it. Who's presenting?
Man of the hour.
Yeah. Okay, this is the,
There are large ones.
yeah, this is the minor subdivision. Now, essentially, I don't know if there's any confusion with the easement or whatever, but all this really is doing is separating it via town purposes from, it's already separated conservation wise. There's none of this land is conservation. The rest is, yes, but not this. So essentially, what we're doing is we're just essentially creating a lot, and that's why this particular one is a minor subdivision. With the remaining land, that obviously is in current, not current, it's the conservation. 38.37 acres and 5.13 acres, which is not current use. And there is also confusion in the deed, if anyone read the actual language of the accepting out of conservation. They clearly say, they start here, the Mets and bounds is almost useless. Especially the distance. But the calls is what really dictates. And in the survey law, the calls supersede anything to do with distance, Mets and bounds. Like, for example, it says starting here at the intersection of this road and this road, then going, what they call it southeasterly, so many distances. And they specifically say not the first wall, but the second wall. So it goes from here to here, and then they go southerly, so much distance to a wall corner, another call, which is important in survey law, and then of course here and that point of beginning. So in the deed, with the accepting out of the conservation area, it says 4 plus or minus. Of course, everything's plus or minus. But in this case, it just happens to be 5 acres. So, and the whole point of this is just to carve out via tax maps, essentially, from the big piece. That's on the south of Edgell and east of Fletcher. And same thing with the other one, so the same thing, we're just separating it. Well, of course, the other one is a lot line adjustment, but so, and yeah, it's essentially for tax purposes.
Okay. Any other questions from the board? I'll open it to the public. Anybody like to speak for?
Thank you. Sorry. No, go, Paul can go.
I was gonna ask, I was under the impression that it was a 3 acre.
Oh, that's the other one.
Oh, okay,
Yeah,
okay.
Yeah, that was
So
good.
this is 5
This is,
out of 30?
On the deed, it says 4 plus or minus.
Okay.
But it ends up being 5. Yeah.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. So the piece of property we're talking about is Edgell and Fletcher. And they're going to give more land around that housing, the house that's there, I assume. Is that correct?
Yeah, it's the building right here. House, drive.
The bottom picture shows a little better.
This,
So it's
yeah.
the big lot, and your lot 1 is now the 5 acre piece, that's
Right,
the
which
cutout.
is the up piece.
Yes, yeah.
Because some of this bigger piece is in easement, Was the Forest Society notified?
I don't think they were in a butter.
Well, I did notify them.
You did notify?
I did notify them, and I didn't get a phone call back.
Oh,
So I didn't get a response. The amendment to the conservation deeds that the Forest Society is aware of is that this is allowed based on the 4 plus or minus. They signed it with Elizabeth Edgell. That's who it's in the ownership, Elizabeth and but no, I did not get a response.
okay.
That's it.
Any other questions? Seeing none, I'll come back. Oh, go ahead.
I have a comment. We reached out to the Society for the Protection of New Hampshire Forests, and I have an email from Jack, and I don't have his last name, but he said, I spoke with David, the landowner, and it turns out his plan is limited to selling the 3-acre lot, excluded from the conservation easement west of Fletcher Road, to the current longtime tenant. To do so, the town requires that the 3-acre lot be subdivided off, as it is currently enveloped within the same tax lot as the conservation easement, though the easement's terms do not apply to those 3 acres. Dave stated he will retain ownership of the rest of the property, including the conserved land and the exclusion area south of Edgell Road. Thank you very much for your advocacy on behalf of the conservation, and I appreciate you taking the time to contact us. That's Jack.
So that's in line with what has been identified here, except it's a 5-acre piece, not a 3-acre piece.
So that is
Based on
referencing the 3-acre piece?
It's
No.
that 3-acre piece that
That's
he
next,
describes
That's
in
the
his.
next case.
So how does the New Hampshire Protection Forest fit into this?
They don't.
Does.
They don't.
Oh, you're talking about the one that's
That's up.
farther up the road all by itself.
Okay.
Well, down the road,
This
depending
is-
which
this is
direction you go.
Yeah. But the 3-acre he references in the letter is actually the 5-acre we're talking about now.
No.
No,
No,
it
that's
isn't.
Next
different.
case.
Next
It's
case.
the
Oh,
next
okay.
case.
Yes,
Okay.
okay.
Fair enough.
It's the
Okay.
one we actually abut.
Okay.
Thank you, Mr. Chair.
So we had no-
Anybody else? Okay, back to the board.
So I'll make a motion that we accept 2022-SDFP-6 Hardscrabble Property Management LLC as submitted.
I'll second it.
We have a motion and a second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? Any abstentions? Ayes have it.
Now.
Let me take 2 of those that you're down to, David, and you sign case number 1.
I'll let you fill in.
I'll absolutely, we'll add that in, this isn't even approved, you sign it.
That's done.
All the,
The big one.
That was the
I knew that. This is good enough.
good,
Now put it back.
But the house is one that's included in that.
Yes, yeah.
okay. The next order of business is 2022ANNAX 5 Hardscrabble Property Management LLC owner requests a final review for an annexation property identified from map 206 lot 003 and 004 located at 244 Fletcher Road in the rural zoning district.
I'll make a motion that we accept 2022-Annex-5 as
Got a second? We have a second by Tobin.
The bird was the one I said. so-
Was it already voted on?
No.
That's complete.
we just made a motion.
Last meeting?
We got to vote right now. No, it was never brought up.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? Any abstentions? Okay. And we'll turn the floor over to,
Right, we pushed both.
Essentially the same thing, except for
Yeah.
this case.
Until we get that legal opinion.
right.
This is,
Patrick, can you speak up, please? Because the generator's running in the background.
Yeah.
okay. Oh, yeah, here we go. This consists of, but this is the big picture of the lot. It's 15 acres, almost 15 acres here and 20 acres here. And so there's two separate lot numbers in regards to tax purposes. So essentially, we're just adjusting the line from, kind of make sure everyone sees it, here to here. That's why it's not subdivision, because there's already two lots. And since this is under 5 acres, we need state approval, which we've obtained and acquired and accepted, or we already have a subdivision approval number. And essentially it's the same as the other one. We're just literally separating the non-conservation land from the conservation land, and just kind of making it cleaner, essentially.
So the two bigger pieces remain two pieces, or is it now one?
The line will go from here, surrounding this area, and this will all be
It
one lot.
disappears where the arrows are.
Yep, and it will still be the same as all these two are lots. These two are all one lot. Question?
Does that show the existing house?
Yeah.
Not to the public yet, please.
Oh, sorry.
Any other questions for you?
No.
Okay, now we'll put the public. Go ahead, sir.
It's right here. The house, garage, pretty much the end of Fletcher Road, because this is all kind of not 5 or 6. And in the driveway, yeah, walk area and stuff. 28 field, that field.
I'm not clear where the lot line is now that is not in conservation land.
Okay, how the description on the conservation started, they start here at a wall corner. They go to the next wall corner. Again, that's in bounds, don't be anything to call to. Then they go to the southerly side of a rangeway, and that's another reason for the amendment, because the first survey didn't show this lane, as it's called. There is a lane way up, but this is the one we're interested in. And then literally from the south side of the lane, then crossing the lane to a wall, three-way wall corner. Then they say in the deed, 100 feet to the end of wall, then go to another end of wall, which is in this case Fletcher Road, and then point to beginning.
So that track 3 is not in conservation.
This is not in conservation tract.
Correct. So you're only just making a L, upside down L lot adjustment, so to speak.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
Or a fancy block. That has like a little slot.
But the stuff to the west of the perpendicular line will still stay as part of the non-conservation
Yeah,
tract.
all this area here
Yeah.
is in conservation, that's all. It's not touched. There is a barn somewhere around here, which there is some language in the conservation
Oh,
saying.
wait, stop. Say that again, what's in conservation?
Everything but that little piece.
Everything but this.
Yeah.
It's like 36 acres.
But I don't understand how you're adjusting a lot line if it wasn't in conservation before,
Well, okay, we're talking about two different things. We're talking about Newport and conservation.
right?
Newport, this is lot 3 of Newport tax record.
Right.
This is lot 4 of Newport tax record, or vice versa.
Whatever,
That's right.
yeah.
And 4 and the remainder of lot 3. So it's not a subdivision because there's already 2 lots. There's still going to be 2 lots. So this is going to be 1 lot and this is the rest of the lot. The other one, it was all one big square.
Making a new one.
And we had to do a subdivision to create or separate from the land of conservation. So that was a minor subdivision. So we had created, separated from town tax purposes perspective. It's already separated from conservation, but town perspective.
You hadn't adjusted the lot line prior.
Well, in this case, this is the lot line adjustment and annexation. This is what's remainder for lot 3, and this is lot 4. Because there's already lot 3 and lot 4 for tax purposes already created.
So what did it look like before?
Ignore this,
It's what we struggle with.
lot 3, lot 4, or vice versa, whatever. But the whole line was right here.
So that little piece with the squiggly S on it there
Yeah.
is now it's gonna go vertical and then make the 90 back to Fletcher Road.
So there was an existing house on that
Still is.
property?
Yeah, still is.
There was an existing house on that property when it went into conservation?
Yeah, there's a barn right here.
I know that barn.
Yeah, that's all covered in the conservation.
But what about the house that exists there now?
Well, that's nothing to do with conservation.
That part of the property wasn't put in conservation.
This is
That's
accepted
what he's saying.
But you're changing the lot line of something that already exists, so I truly do not follow you, I'm sorry.
Just making it smaller. The house lot's becoming smaller. What encompassed that whole top half of that
Yeah, I mean,
big tract.
Yeah, that tract included the house.
That tract included the house without that new piece of lot line.
Correct.
Right.
So it was in conservation land.
No, this was not ever in conservation. Okay, we're talking about 2 different things, the tax purposes and
I
conservation.
don't
purposes.
care about the tax.
So we're actually adding
care about the
acreage to the
conservation.
conservation a lot by doing what we do.
Well, no, they were all in conservation.
Right.
This lot was and this lot was.
So the land the house was on was in conservation.
No.
No. Again, that's 2 different things.
That part of that lot was outside of conservation. Yeah.
Can I, again, we're here for the tax purposes and the lot line, not the easement. That's not in the purview of the planning board.
However, it's in my purview because
Okay.
I abut and I have the right to know that, Mr. Kidd.
Okay?
Then
Thank you.
and you'll
I
have to go.
understand what you're doing now. You're
Yeah.
trying to clean up what should have been done when they did the conservation
Exactly.
easement. Like cutting that 3-acre piece or whatever it is out and making it another piece of property. So there'll be 3 lots there, correct?
No, 2.
No, on 2. Whole
Oh,
line.
2, that line's gone.
Yep.
Yeah.
So it's a bigger lot.
Yeah.
Correct.
Just a little chunk is out of the middle now. instead of that whole
30-something
thing.
acres.
Right, thank you.
Anybody else?
So, if I understand correctly, none of that land was ever in conservation.
The
All
little piece.
around.
Yeah, there's
Just the little
just this
piece.
little piece here.
The big piece was in conservation.
Okay.
The small piece that has the house on it was never in conservation.
I can kind of make a note saying the purpose of the plan. The purpose of this plan is to separate the land that is not in conservation easement. That's essentially what it's going on.
Tom?
That track 3 in that description of conservation.
In the deed, the amended deed?
No, on that map that is the wall recognition.
Where's that little
The one that you used for the amendment?
There we go. Yeah. This is quick one. Yeah, this is what I use right here. And that's a big list that they drew with the descriptions up for the conservation easement area. Oh, yeah, it was track 1. Track 1 was everything west of the road, west of Fletcher Road. And when they described it, they described what exactly what we have when we get rid of this line right here. They don't describe this line in that. They go right around this whole thing, then they accept out that. So we're kind of cleaning the thing up in a way.
Yeah, exactly.
Because that's, you know, because there was.
What's matching, it brings it in line with this.
Conservation, the town has it as 4. It's gonna go back to 3. So it kind of cleans up that issue. I just want to bring that.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
So let me understand that no property is going out of conservation. Right. It's staying all.
Can't.
Yeah, that's an act of Congress.
Around the home is separate.
Yeah,
As not being part of it. That was
and it always was, based on the deed language. This brings the map in congruent with the deed language, yeah. I'll make a motion that we accept 2022-Annex-5 as submitted, approved as submitted.
Second?
We have a second by Ray. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Any abstentions? The ayes have it.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
One of those worse, this one made sense.
Well, if you read that now, with what we just like that, now I get it.
Definitely not cool.
Yeah, right.
One credit union that's supposed to come like a year ago to present that lighting, so they're here. And just before you start, I have paperwork of what happened in 2019. But they're here to talk about the issues with the non-downcast lighting that I've been going after them for 2 years. And so this was the case. And I gave the minutes, and I made copies for everyone, even though I don't find them that informative. And then these are the plans.
Thank you.
And it was a year ago, I believe Ray stated, because I said, I can't find it. And Ray stated, go to videotape. And when I did go to videotape, that's where the rubber met the road of, I believe it was David and Ken specifically stating, downcast, sharp cutoff. And I believe I'm like 18 minutes in on this video from June 2019. I've watched it many times. So again, and so that's where we're at right now. And then the 2 representatives here are to state their case of a possible adjustment.
Our next case is,
There's really no number. It's
Oh, you
just
just-
kind of, it's just to discuss the complaint and that how they thought that they had built.
it's a site plan revision, review of one credit union exterior lighting, reference to case 2019 SPFP 003, Waterstone Sugar River Plaza LLC and Harkness Sugar River Plaza LLC owners, Wayne Morrill Jones and Beach Engineering Inc. agent. They had requested a final review of a site plan for a 2,531 square foot financial institution. The property is identified as map 117 lot 055 and is located at 24-70 John Stack Highway in the heavy commercial B2 zoning district. Conditions of that were a waiver for drainage analysis and a waiver for the exterior lighting plan. Waiver on the Mylar, which would have been provided as built at the end of building. So, we are at this point, the lighting, exterior lighting did not conform to the
As presented.
Town of Newport rules and regulations pertaining to the building code. It was very simple. When it was read in, you requested an exterior lighting plan waiver so that you didn't have to go through the expense of detailing all the lights all through the whole plaza and whatnot. We agreed to that. We did not give you a waiver on breaking code. You still had to come with the code. The code is sharp downcast, and it's for all businesses that have been built since I've been on this board. And I don't know what your plans are. I know there's easy fixes to it, but I'll give you the floor.
So, if I may, Brett Smith, I'm the CEO of One Credit Union. First, let me apologize that we're still discussing this. I thought it was handled. My individual that was handling it is no longer with me. And before he left, I had asked him, I haven't heard anything else, so I think we're okay. In February, I got a letter from the town lawyer that let me know that we weren't okay. And so I've been playing catch up, and I apologize. I've also looked at the video a number of times. And first, let me say, we weren't attempting to build outside of code. If you look at the last 2 pages of what were submitted, there's elevations of the buildings that show all these wall sconces. So we were operating under, our understanding was we put it in the plan, the sconces were there. The issue is Wayne did not call them out. When the downcast lighting was discussed and there was that more traditional New England looking wall sconce, he was on the pole lights when he was discussing that. And so if you look, when I was watching the video, he had just talked about the one pole light that we were going to move and that we're going to have other pole lights. And there was a question, I apologize, I forget who. I tried to look at the video today and I couldn't get the site to come up so I could refresh. I've been gone for 2 weeks, so I'm playing even more catch up.
There are some issues with the videos right now. They're having, NCTV is having some issues with the historical.
Yep, so first let me say, when we submitted the elevations with the wall sconces on it, we thought we had approval. So we didn't intentionally or knowingly go outside of any zoning. Because when we had it in here, we thought that we were fine. And that's what we operated underneath. So we may have missed that. Our site engineer, I didn't point to it. We were talking about the pole lighting, which the pole lights, admittedly, actually, what we presented in that, we did change the pole light slightly. They are still downcast. They are still within the 180 degree, the sharp cutoff. They look more like the other lights that are in the parking lot currently. Through the correspondence, and forgive me, everything I have is emails that were fed to me after the fact. I wasn't on any of the correspondence. It kept coming up with zoning ordinance, zoning ordinance, zoning ordinance. And so I started to try to do some research myself, and then I went back and I got the letter that was dated in March of last year that was sent by Christine to Waterstone, who's our landlord. And it specified the zoning was Article 4, Section 411, exterior lighting, which I'm sure I don't have to read it to you all, you probably know that, about not having flooding over into a residential area being the key piece of the back end of that.
Also stated in that letter was the planning board reference to the lighting, both those things in the legal letter. Right.
The one dated March 15th only cites the one zoning ordinance. I have a copy here. So based on recent past inspections of your property dating back to March 2020, your property at 70 John Stark Highway, map 117, lot 055 is in violation of Newport's zoning ordinance, Article 4, Section 411, exterior lighting. I've sent many emails to the branch manager, engineer, and other affiliated with this property. The last attempt to contact One Credit Union via email was made on January 7, 2021. In one email sent to Paul Kowalowski, who is representing NES today, he is Art Build Design. He was also here in 2019 when it was presented. I specifically stated what is needed to remedy the situation of the exterior lighting, see attached, in order to avoid possible legal enforcement action. I'm writing this letter. So we looked at that article, and we actually had responded to the January 7th email that we cut the glare because we thought that was the issue. We actually took the glare down by 50% so that it didn't violate the spilling over into a residential area. And so there was a few more correspondence on it, and again, we were focused on the zoning ordinance. And last summer, apparently, we were supposed to be here in August. We did not show up. Apologize for that, wasn't aware. And then I was told it was done. And it wasn't until February where I got the letter from legal counsel. And the legal counsel letter indicates the SPR, what was it? Forgive me, right here. Article 4I of the town's SPR, because the lighting is not downcast and does not have a sharp cutoff, as specified in the June 11th meeting. So that's when I took a look at that one, and again, I was looking for the verbiage about the cutoff and the downcast, and I didn't find it in the actual ordinances themselves. But that was the first time that the planning board specific regulation is what I can see was documented to us. At least that's the first time that I see it. There was a little back and forth about is it zoning, is it planning, is it zoning, is it planning. So in the letter, it indicated to take the steps. So 2 months ago, Christine, was that May, that I came to the zoning board meeting?
So this is the legal letter. He talks both about planning board and zoning. He thought, because we have a reference to no spillage, also within our zones, he referenced both. You see on the second page of that, he specifically references that they did not follow the site plan as presented during your June 2019 meeting. So, and then I also do have numerous emails where I don't only state zoning ordinance. I talk about the planning board. While the planning board has viewed the property and does see a slight change in the spillage of light for One Credit Union, the main issue is that it is not downcast. That was from March 4/21. Planning board and there's numerous, and Brett might be accurate. We have Wayne, Douglas, Patricia, Kevin, Ann Kelly, Paul, and I'm not sure where Brett came in. Although when I also sent notifications, I sent them to numerous people that I thought were involved, especially the people that presented. But there are many times I speak because the complaint came from the planning board, the planning board.
Can I ask a question?
Sure.
Do they make a louver kit for this light that has?
I don't know about a louver kit. We took it apart and put
You
a,
got 12 lights, 5 inches wide, 4 feet long. Most have a diffuser. Louver, you put in a diffuser that says opaque, so it knocked the light down, but it's still directly 90 degrees. You know, you can see it. You know, you're trying to get a sharp cutoff. If you had a louver kit in there that knocked it down and it cast the light to the ground, that would work. So to me, it's a pretty simple solution. If you can find an insert kit for
I'd
that
have to
light.
look, yeah, it's a good.
You know what I'm saying?
Yep, I do.
And then it's over with and you can be done with, and I'm sure we can
And I
get through the
you
letter.
could probably even have them made,
Yeah,
so that you can just bolt them to the wall.
yeah, I mean,
I've seen them in lawn ornaments, tiered with the lights up in here. So when it's in the garden, you look down, you see the light on the ground, but you don't see.
it's no different than these shades do
Yeah.
in one direction, right? You just put in, it's a louver kit that goes in and it's done. It's really that simple of a solution.
And
Okay?
it's, you
Without
know-
changing really the look of what you got out there.
Right, so, but I just wanted to be clear, we didn't intentionally build outside, but we did have them in the planning, and everything that we submitted through permitting process and the inspector and getting, the certificate of occupancy, all had the same elevations with the same sconces on them and everything else. So we weren't intentionally violating anything. I just wanted to make that clear, because that was kind of the sense I got, was like we were trying to build something that we didn't ask for. And it seemed, and again, I wasn't at the meeting, all I could watch was the video, is, the question came up when he was talking about the pole lights, and I felt he answered based on.
Yeah, the pole lights were okay.
Well, right, right.
The
He didn't call it
the zoning itself is all lighting,
All exterior.
all external lighting. And that's the way it states.
So,
If you're putting in plumbing and it says all plumbing must be 6-inch versus 4-inch, and you put in 4-inch, it's because you weren't following all the printed language. That's what I'm saying. And I think the fix here is really easy.
I mean, we could put some, we've dimmed them to the point where I don't even think if we put a down
It's
light.
not the dimness. You can't, when you look at it, you can't see that.
Yes, sir, I
You
understand.
can't
you can actually turn the
Lighting is-
lights back up if you get the right louver in there.
Well, right.
You know.
What I'm trying to say,
Yeah.
if you allow me to finish,
Go ahead.
is the light doesn't even reach the ground now. So we can cap them, sure, but they don't give up enough lumens to even reach the ground. They barely get off of our walls now. So we did try to operate and try to take them down to a point. And there is precedent in town. The Verizon building has similar sconces across the front of it that don't appear to be downlighting. We have a photo here, all across right on Main Street. So we didn't think we were going outside of anything that wasn't already representative in the town. So, and again, we did submit them. If we need to try to find some sort of cap,
Do some
we
research.
can
and-
find some sort of
okay.
cap, but I just wanted to, wanted to address that we did not,
Yeah, well, and a lot of us didn't sit here for those approvals either, so. There are buildings in town with lights that don't comply, no doubt,
Mhm.
okay? Whether we were sitting here or not, it
right.
does make it right.
They didn't call out the wall, we were so early in the plan, we didn't even have a spec for what the sconce was, we just knew we had a wall sconce.
I'll see, that's why we waived, to help cut down on costs, we waived that. I guess from now on, we won't be able to waive. I mean, it's expensive to have an engineer do the whole lighting thing, but
Yeah, photometric studies are not.
it's pretty, it was.
That's where you're gonna go,
We've dealt with it for so long that Downcast, I'm in the building trades, he's in the building trades. A lot of us here are either in the building trades of some sort. And we realize that you have to go by, what the jurisdiction is. If you're in Hanover, it's different than when you're in Lyme, or Sunapee, or Claremont.
New Hampshire left it up to
Yeah,
the different
each-
municipalities, but they have had a dark skies policy, an RSA, encouraging towns and cities to, minimize the amount of light that's polluting the night sky, basically, since 2009. I'm happy to look it up.
But yeah, you can find an easy louver,
Yeah.
or something that would fit in there that would knock it down, would be a viable solution.
I'm sure we can find something like that, this was the next step in the process that I had from the legal letter. I went to zoning, they discussed it for 45 minutes, and then said, for the planning board, it's not us.
Right, and that, maybe it was the message, but that was kind of what struck us, like, okay, we're giving too much straight out, we need to get Downcast, put a louver in. The louver became an opaque lens, because that was an easy misunderstanding or whatever it may have been, that's all. So, all right.
I guess, were there any other concerns, complaints, anything from neighbors,
No, everything else
anything of
is
that
fine.
nature. I think there was only one residential
Your
property.
interest rate's too low.
I said your interest rate's too low.
It's too low.
I concur. Fed's trying to fix that for everybody, so we're working on it. But if you are a member, thank you. So we'll look on,
Yep.
if,
I'll get on it.
Yeah, see what they
if an
got,
amended
like,
approval,
retro
then we'll find something that we can downcast it. I just want, 2 years, lots of emails, and it lands on my desk, and
I appreciate you
I
coming.
won't share the expletives that I had about my former employee.
Yeah. No, if there was a misunderstanding, we're
Appreciate you
trying to
coming
get
in.
better as we go as well and be more clear
Yeah,
with what we're
yeah,
looking for. So.
and that's what, again, we weren't trying to,
And that's like some of the lighting that, like you said, some things that have gone out there that don't comply with what we're looking for now. Some of that is that, some of us weren't here, and when the plans were brought before us, the question wasn't asked, or, it wasn't brought up, so after the fact, it's, well, we messed up.
Well, and a lot of people do lighting retros without coming, because they're generally changing a light, they're not coming for a planning board approval.
Yeah.
And next thing you know, you get some really bright, misaimed issues, That's some way you see too.
there was a reference in the video to a ZBW, and I'm like, what is it? I thought it was ZBW, that's why I tried to go back to the video. Was zoning, maybe, but then you mentioned the downcast light, and you're okay. I thought I heard ZB something,
Or
but it didn't sound like A.
DPW maybe.
What's that?
DPW.
Yeah.
Oh, maybe that was it. I didn't, my speakers and
No,
stuff,
the
I
main-
couldn't hear it.
Main things here, sharp cutoff and the lights don't leave your property. That's the two.
We definitely aren't leaving property at this point.
But if you can see it from outside your property, it's leaving.
Yeah.
You understand?
Yeah.
It's obvious this is not Vegas.
Say again?
It's obvious this is not Vegas.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah,
They were that much brighter than the McDonald's.
After what happened in Laconia with all of those lights up there, people really became aware that we don't want that in our town. So that's when they came up with the sharp down gas. And I think a lot of the towns now are going that route.
That's the whole, if you fly over in an airplane,
Yeah.
you shouldn't see any uplight. It should all be down. It should be black except for the halos that you see. So, and we're trying to be consistent, admittedly, it's been inconsistent, we're trying to be more consistent. Thank you for coming in, I
Yep.
appreciate it.
Yep, so.
If you have any other questions,
Complaints?
go to Christina and say, if you've got an idea and before you go out spending, I forget how many lights there were, 8?
12
12
sconces, I
I
believe,
counted
yeah,
them.
yeah.
If it,
Yeah, we'll definitely send it because I prefer to make sure it's,
I would have them
Before.
approve it, your new, whatever you came up with.
But basically, your light source has to be cut off so that the light goes down, not out. Pretty simple.
Okay.
all right?
All right. Hopefully
must
they
know
make something in that. The lighting industry, they get all kind of
Yeah,
options.
no, yeah.
But that's what happened with the downcast, that was originally presented, that particular item we had. It discontinued before we even got a chance to order it, so.
Well, and it's getting even worse, quite honestly, with LEDs, right? I mean, look at the headlights again, but, that's the exact case of what you're trying to avoid, is that direct bright light coming straight at you and show that kind of thing, so. And LEDs make it that much worse. So. All right.
Actually, I think that's what our pole lights have on them.
Yeah, probably LEDs, well, you have to
Or
change
they're
bulbs,
downcast,
but
right?
they're downcast.
But they're downcast.
So,
All right.
Thank you very much.
no problem, thank you for taking the time.
I'll speak with you guys
Okay.
whenever.
Okay,
But
yep,
they're
all right,
not
we'll be in
gonna
touch.
worry that
Yep.
much.
I'll
Yeah,
call
I'll-
them.
Okay. Great.
Did you read the second part of that legal letter where it specifically talks about how they presented to the planning board and then the plans were not, right, and I just went, I have so many emails, yeah, you presented a site plan that you built different, but again, Brett, I do believe came in.
But even they said the lights that they depicted on the thing were not the ones that went on the building.
Well, the front, believe it or not, the ones that they still did, with the ones that were presented, do look relatively the same, that the sharp cutoff. It's the minute after he presented, you stated, well, is that your exterior lighting? He said, yes. You then said, well, then we will waive because it's a sharp. Both of you then, I should show it to you sometime, but it's
Well,
clear,
For us to learn from it is, okay,
don't waive them.
not only, don't wait, but not only look at site lighting, exterior poles, but look at what's on the building at door entrance. I mean, that's a code
I think-
requirement at door entrances, but
I think to me, it seems like he's saying, this is the exterior lighting. He even talks about, you can't even see the bulb, to me, again, and then you guys reinforced it, like Ray had me go to video.
it's Ray's fault.
Well, they're fixing it now.
Yeah, and then if they fix it
And they're not the only light issue that we're dealing with.
yeah.
We have, I know, we do have prior to permits, we do have, Carvana. Then I've just gotta get them to go down, the Carvana.
Well, they may be sharp cutoff, it's just the way you approach that road, because you're
Well,
coming
they're
up
angled.
under.
They're angled
Oh, they're
wrong.
angled
They
wrong.
have to be installed level.
And I also think they have too many, I think there's spillage.
Well, if
Yeah,
it's got the right mover in it, it may
If
project
the car's
out.
driving on the road,
They don't look like they're in a hurry to populate anyways.
I don't think that they sell that many cabs up in this
Well,
area.
they're selling hay by the looks of it.
You're taller.
I'll just take that all back from my records.
Okay.
And if anyone
I think if
ever
they're aimed
wanted
right,
to
they're
see
just
all my
fine.
warrant correspondence, I
There's
would
the Conway
send
coming up that
That
road,
hill.
you're looking up at them anyways.
Yeah.
I think if you're taller.
Absolutely.
What are you trying to say?
He has a big truck, he compensates.
Well,
I think Carvana's getting hit too by the interest rates and, you know, the high car prices. People are starting to.
I know you do.
But
Well, they do something about the headlight.
as long as they're paying their taxes.
Shoot.
Oh, yeah.
It's bad. You gotta look over the woods, so you don't like the lights. Let's
I
see.
think the older you are too, the worse it is.
Well, I wear contacts and that, the glare is
Yeah.
just ridiculous. And the LEDs don't give you
Do I
a
have to
break
make a
whatsoever.
copy of
Yeah,
the deed?
I can't even get my wife to drive now, and she won't, she just can't see.
I'll send you that.
She won't even
Must
know.
be a wet night.
some of
Doesn't
some of
complain.
those, it's like a 4 over.
Something that Patrick.
Very quiet, uh-oh.
I asked you to do it when,
Asleep?
there.
Was he asleep?
No,
But
advisory.
He was getting ahead.
Happen, so quit.
All right, where are we at?
Christina, you want this?
yes,
Somebody
I'll
here's
do that, and I'll
public
take
comment,
everything.
participation?
These
Oh, we
are
do have
all
somebody.
from from our
Well, we gotta-
records.
yeah, we
I'll
gotta-
take all this back.
Or you want that?
Well, yeah,
No, we got a
it
minute.
goes in their file.
Okay.
He's not here.
Our next order of business is minutes from June 14th, 2022. Errors, omissions, or corrections, typos, things that are missing. Bert?
I've got a question. Page 2, third paragraph from the bottom. Third line down, on the right-hand side, town manager will determine when the review is complete. I don't know how that fits there. I did not think that the town manager had any oversight over when the review would be complete. So I take exception to that, starting at the town manager will determine when the review is complete.
What is this in regards to?
Where are you, Bert? Can you?
Right there,
Page 2,
Yep.
4 paragraphs up.
fourth up,
Miss Donovan.
fourth
states-
line, third line down.
Could accept it.
Ms. Donovan stated,
So therefore you would like, and the town manager will determine when the review is complete, deleted.
No, wait a
Well, it was
minute.
actually part of the meeting, we're just.
Yeah, no, the
discussing.
town manager does not have oversight on the planning board.
No.
So hold on, if I said something about the town manager, it's in the Miss Donovan section?
No, it's stated
Now, it's
Mr.
actually saying
Spalding.
that Bert was the one.
Oh, okay, I thought it was what I said. Okay, back out.
So should it be
That it needed to be reviewed by
Christina
the town
will
manager.
determine when it's complete?
You guys decide that.
Do you
I don't
remember what you
decide
said,
it,
Brett?
and neither does the town
I don't believe I
manager.
said it, and that's why I'm questioning it. I could go back to the tape and find out what was really said, but,
I think,
as I read it, I said, number one, it doesn't fit there, and number two, I'm very cognizant that he doesn't determine the time.
Pretty sure you'd know.
Excuse me?
Pretty sure you'd know.
And that's my only exception.
Just strike it.
So if we delete your name from that paragraph, I don't know who we put in there, 'cause I can't. He asked us,
I stated that it needed to be reviewed. What I'm talking about is the actual review itself. I can see that. But I don't believe that I said that the town manager would determine the review is complete.
Is that town
It's not his
council?
It's
the
not
only
his purview.
time I think he mentioned town manager was,
You
yeah, it
bring-
must have been town council. Or he said, do you have money in your budget? And I said, I do. And you said, if you don't, the town budget would have, like,
You
something.
should have. That was the only conversation
Right.
about.
I think this is intended to be town council, not town manager in this.
I feel like Hunter, or whoever, town manager was presented, but this isn't the context.
All right. It doesn't make any difference to me whether it stays or goes, but as far as I'm concerned,
I would
the words don't fit there, and there was nothing that I would have said.
I agree, I can go back and watch the tape for sure and get the quote.
I would move the minutes of June 14th, with the exception of the statement.
page 2.
Yeah, just the statement starting, town manager will determine when the review is complete.
I'll
So
second.
to delete that completely. You just want that part deleted, you just want that deleted. As your motion.
Take his name off of that, because he did not say that part from there.
The whole line.
Would you like me to go back and, listen to the tape?
Yeah, and find
So you
out.
want to table these
It's
minutes?
almost like it would be town council.
I think it's town council. Why don't we table until we verify that?
It doesn't make sense, and I agree, like Bert wouldn't have said that.
Yeah,
It's
let's
your
just-
purview.
Yeah. Let's just
Wanna
table
with-
the minutes.
Want to withdraw your motion, and we'll just table it till next meeting?
Yeah, or it can stay, and the meetings for tonight can amend it. So, two ways of doing it. Whatever the board's position is, it's minute, it's not important.
Why don't we just table it and find it? That's the easiest way. Okay.
Back to the video, Christina.
I know, but you know, that's very helpful.
All right, we
The
will.
refs want their 5 minutes. They want to go to the video.
Table.
I'll make a motion that we table the minutes of
June 14th.
June 14th, 2022, until we investigate the tape.
Second.
We have a second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? Any abstentions?
Yep.
One abstention. He wasn't here. And we go for officers, administration, that's up already. Holy mackerel.
It's July, yearly, the voting for officers unless as
All right, so this is where we turn over the control of the meeting to Christina.
right now. It's already started, right? Uh-huh. Is that how it works? Does it have to? Go for it.
It's on you.
Great. So, would the board be privy to voting for officers this evening?
Sure.
And someone to make a motion for to do so?
Why don't you ask if we have a motion for chair?
Could we have a motion to vote on chairman?
I make a motion Dave's the chairman.
I'd second that.
I'll second.
Okay.
Seconds all, second.
Now,
Any abstentions or
All those in favor?
all those in favor?
Without
Christina,
discussion, no, we,
Christina, other names.
Any other options?
hearing none.
All those in favor?
Aye.
All, that was unanimous.
now you're fired.
Chairman Dave, Mr. Berman, you could take over, thank God, for the vice chair.
I will,
Nominate Mr. Merrill.
I'd second that.
we have a nomination for Ken Merrill for vice chair. And a second. All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? Any abstentions? The ayes have it. We need a recording secretary? No, we don't vote for the recording secretary.
I'd be out of a job.
Well, let's please not vote for anyone but Laura. Okay, this is, I'll veto that.
Did you abstain that vote?
I did.
Thank you.
Unless you want to eye me vote.
You need a taller chair next time.
I figured it out.
You're at the kitty table over there.
Our next order of business will be communications. Do we have any two for the board? Other than what you've already given us?
I do. I had sent you an email from the town of Hanover planner about traffic study
Yes.
that we should
I
probably
didn't
share at the
have that
next meeting
shirt,
or
that-
something.
You're right.
So that, because we were looking for a definition of what is a traffic study versus a traffic
Okay, hold on.
impact.
I'm gonna add that for the next meeting for sure.
So for the board, I asked the town planner in Hanover, what they used or what their baseline was for asking for a traffic study. And he sent me a nice email with a reference to, actually it was Vermont DOT, I believe, that they use.
Yes.
Their similar language. So I asked Christina to share that so we can talk
Sorry,
about
I
this.
apologize.
So as we move forward, if we're looking for a traffic study or whatever, we can have a reference.
There is a New Hampshire state statute that talks about traffic studies and traffic engineering
Probably
studies.
very similar. So we were basically looking for a definition.
As it came up at the, maybe a month or so ago, talking about reducing speed around town, so there was a discussion about that. That was,
Right. So this was in case, like Spring Street came up and we told them we needed a traffic impact,
And
right?
they sent us a memorandum?
We have a memorandum, not a study. What is the legal, what do we really need? Do we need a study? Do we need a memorandum? Do we need an impact?
It wasn't
And
called
this
a
was-
memorandum, it was called something else, but yes.
Yeah, so anyway, we can table to the next event.
Remember what it
You can
was?
share that.
It was it was under the header was memorandum, but it was a traffic assessment.
Assessment.
It wasn't a study, it was an assessment.
And their assessment was that a full traffic study was not
Where we didn't
needed
know,
because it was
well, we didn't know
non-impact, no impact, is what they basically said on that letter.
there was a, just so you know, Ken, please, if you do notice when I send out and I've missed it, text me like Christina
Yeah, no, I
did
just-
on. I know you maybe did, but, because I hate to do that, and I did.
It happened to refresh my memory when I read through the minutes at the end and it's highlighted.
Oh, you didn't even, okay, but if anyone ever
So-
sees that I missed something, I can add it
Yeah.
anytime, so I apologize.
So in his email, he talks about they use, the reference Vermont DOT standard, but they don't look for a study, they look for an impact, I think is what it was.
It's, you know,
But it's-
that's-
It's a play on words, for sure.
That's what we're wondering. The question of the wording, has that fulfilled, whatever the words they call it, you could call
They
it a
said
pink
no.
elephant, and is it fulfilling what you asked for?
Right.
So you could call it whatever you want, so let's figure that out.
Yeah.
I
Okay.
can forward you that statute, but it does talk about anytime you're looking at an intersection or travel,
You could forward that to me, thank you so much. I wrote down that you stated there is a state statute, but I'd love it if you would, if not, I'll search for it myself.
It's just,
it's 266 something, just
Okay, thank
bear
you.
with me.
we're just looking to define it, so when we sit here talking with applicants and
Back
public,
to
we
the
can
room,
have
one of
a.
those purple books.
9-1.
Oh, absolutely.
266 is probably about 10
It's a big
pages.
chapter, it's a big chapter.
But I can, yeah, I can, look at the index in the back. Thank you.
Okay.
Gen Court search, find it easy.
No, I was just gonna point out for Bert to why watch tonight's video and listen to what Patrick, the surveyor, said about annex lot line adjustment
Oh, so he
subdivision.
we put it all in.
It'll help in the other conversation we're
We
supposed
do have to
finish.
settle that, and we
Yeah.
would want to rewrite that thing, the rule,
I
right?
believe that video tonight will help
Can
really
help us
define that
with-
sentence
Yes.
fast. Yeah.
You know what? You're probably right, because that kind of was a clear explanation.
Well, he called it, he submitted it as an annex, but he called it, immediately shook his head, called it a lot line adjustment, and it's a subdivision, so, minor subdivision, so yeah, it's in there. So he may be a good source too, to query exactly what that means.
Okay. Anything else for that we need
That's
to
it.
cover that? Okay, I'll open it to the public for
Patient
any
individual
topics
sitting there.
within the purview of the planning board.
Been so patient all night, sitting here.
I know. All right, we'll come back to the board, which pleasure.
I'll make a motion, we adjourn.
Was I sleeping when we did the update, master plan stuff?
No, I had to remove that. I did not get it updated. So I have to defer, so I removed it. And no, so I apologize. That should have been on here. And you know what I can do? I could get it updated and then forward it to you well before, like next week or something. I did not get it, the new one to you. I just could, so I removed it. So, Bert, you were not sleeping.
But I think we knocked it down pretty shape.
Yeah, you got it. I just have to put
File
it,
it.
I have to make sure, the form.
Yeah.
And then we can go to print if you all agree with whatever, yeah.
Okay.
I did let the chairman know that I've had an injury, I'm gonna have surgery. Pardon me, this is off the record, I think, although I don't, did we adjourn the meeting?
Not yet.
Oh, maybe adjourn the meeting, I think.
I'll second his motion to
I
adjourn.
made a
then.
motion to
I
adjourn.
already seconded it.
Oh, did you?
It got into discussion about 5 minutes ago.
Okay, we have a motion to adjourn and a second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? Any abstentions? The ayes have it at 7:41.
You're more than welcome to join us.